some week guy, and I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to this weekend. And before we kind of get into the week that was, what's going on in the Adami house? What are you guys pulling up in front of Netflix, or what's going on?
I know we're doing some pizza takeout tonight. My daughter asked me what I wanted, so I'm getting the spicy sausage pie. So I'm looking forward to that.
Spicy sausage pie. Who, and is it you going Dami's?
No. Like, a local. I'm gonna say this. I don't think I've ordered from Domino's since 1984, 85. Village A.
Yeah. It was
for those that are so inclined. So no, I'm not no.
They were delivering a lot of za back in the day, but I was waiting for you to say, Tim, the first pizza I ordered from Domino's, the next pizza I ordered from Domino's will be the first pizza I ordered from Domino's. All right, so takeout, and then obviously like family movie time. How have you guys been handling that?
So, we've been watching a little Netflix. Like our daughter is pretty good at this Netflix thing because I totally don't get it. She's able to talk to the remote control and somehow magically these shows appear on TV. That's way outside my pay grade.
Yeah.
But we talked about. I wouldn't mind like throwing on a Gene Wilder movie, since we talked about it on the show tonight. And my go-to Gene Wilder is everybody says Willy Wonka. I get it, brilliant, but Young Frankenstein on a number of different levels was just absolute brilliance. I know you're not a huge Young Frankenstein guy, but it's
Well, I mean, if I'm gonna go Gene Wilder, I mean, I think you have to go to Blazing Saddles, and I realize the references that I might pull here would get me into a lot of trouble because there's nothing clean in that movie. And of course, the great irony is that Mel Brooks was poking fun at all that stuff, but somehow it turned into this movie that suddenly we can't get. But
I love Blazing Saddles, but given the big three, and the big three being Young Frankenstein, Willy Wonka, and Blazing Saddles, it's Young Frankenstein, Willy Wonka, Blazing Saddles. I mean, that's where I come down on that. Now,
I don't know, man. What in the wide world of sports is going on around here? I don't know. Let's talk about this market because it kind of felt like that too. In fact, at times, if you think about the moves we had earlier in the week and the moves we had of 18% in 17 days, the pullback of 4% in the last 2 days doesn't really feel like comedy, except for the fact that maybe it really is just a necessary price action. What do you think?
Well, we got through a slew of earnings. We talked about that all week in terms of these huge companies reporting, and by and large, I think the numbers were really good. We talked about it, but the price action wasn't good. And that's something you have to sort of wrap your head around. Sometimes you can have good earnings and lousy price action, and you got to be respectful of that. And I think that's what we saw over the last couple of days. And here we are once again. I think the S&P closed at 2830 or thereabouts, which again is this 2800 level we've talked about seemingly for weeks, and we find ourselves here again. The VIX, which spiked, I think, to 40 today, closed around 37, so still elevated. There are a lot of things. There are a lot of things to be concerned about going into the next couple of weeks. Now, if magically something happens this weekend, or President Trump and President Xi get together and they talk about their great love affair and all these things, then it's a different ballgame. But the rhetoric now out of the Trump administration in regards to the Chinese and their responsibility for this virus is, I think, really concerning. And I don't think you can dismiss it in terms of what it means for the broader market.
No, and I think the market just had come too far, and was it 15 is my limited schnitzing, Gruben? I mean, I think you get to a place where you have to you do have to take a pause. The things I thought were constructive this week were the following: crude oil, Brent crude, whatever you're following, had a very strong week, and in fact, it's up 65% off of that midday low 7 or 8 sessions ago. And we talked about oil having been one of the linchpins. I'm not telling you oil is going to get away from you, but I think we've been searching for some price recovery. We also got some macro data out of China this week, which we continue to want to see what the playbook might look like on the other side. I know we don't want to compare ourselves to China, and I know we would have questioned that data in good times and different times of health, but nonetheless, PMIs, both on the manufacturing and the services side, came in the 53 area, which continues to be a small improvement over March, where we were getting the first read of that economy that was opening up. So what worries me for the market is the news on opening the economy may in fact be sell news. The irony was that we were obviously looking for this moment when we were going to get back going. But and we talked about this on Fast Money this week in a couple different moments. It's hard for me to believe that the employment picture is going to be picking up going into these numbers. I know a lot of people are excited to go back to work. It's going to be a beautiful weekend here in the Northeast. And I think people are going to start to feel a little bit more, bring the attention on where fundamentals are.
I think it's fair. Yeah. And again, just because there's this edict to reopen things, I don't think it necessarily means people are going to come racing back to everything. And that's what makes markets. I think there's a lot to think about this weekend. The markets provided both bulls and bears with a lot of ammunition to position themselves for the next week. And I'll still come down to, I'm hard pressed to envision how this thing gets away from us on the upside. And this feels like the week where, maybe a little bit a touch of reality is coming back to the market participants. But we'll talk about it on Monday, I'm sure.
We will. And, if you get some time this weekend, see if you can do the French mistake.
Pardon me?
Pull out your heels, take off your hooves, do. Anyway, isn't the French mistake?
It's a mistake. Let's leave it at that.
Later.